Hello everyone, hope that you all are doing well. So today on subscribers demand, I'm adding JUnit test cases to bus reservation system project. But before jumping on to the video, let me request you, if you people are getting some insights, knowledge from my video, do hit the like button and share among your contacts so that the channel reach could grow. And also, if new to the channel, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Back to the video context. I have made a workflow driven project of bus reservation system. So if you people have not watched the playlist yet, the link would be in the description. Do watch it. So I'll be telling you how to write JUnit test cases for a big project to test the quality of the project, right? Quality of your code written. So in the video, I'll be covering limited set of test cases, but you can definitely write more test cases as per your requirement. Now let's go to the Eclipse IDE, and when you make a Spring project either from Spring IO initializer or from Spring Starter project from your IDE, a default test package has been provided, and in that test package you have a test class as well, and JUnit is embedded in your project by default. You don't have to add any Maven dependency for that. So now let's write our first test case for registering and logging a user with a role as user, right? So how will you write the test case as? First of all, to take the to know that how the functionality is working in the project, let me first take you to the controllers, and let's go to the registration controller, that how the functionality is working. So now we can see here that when we are registering a user, we can see that we are using user service.save method, right? And now this save method needs the registration DTU, right? Registration DTU contains everything, right? Your email ID, password, and everything. But it will save your data into the database and return a login. So we'll directly be using this method only in our test class also. So how we'll be using it, like in the registration controller, you can see that we are getting the data from model, from the UI. But now we don't have the UI for our test classes, so we'll have to create a object of we have to create an object of user registered DTO, right? So how we'll do it, let me take user register DTO. Sorry, let me start by writing a method. Let me say at the rate test. I'll say at the rate test, and then I'll say public void register and login with user account, right? So I will take this method, and first of all we have to make an object of user registration DTO, right? So I'll say user registration DTO and user register DTO, and I'll say make an object for it using new user register DTO, right? So now our new object has been prepared for user register DTO. Now we have to add set email ID. So you can take any email ID, could be made up email ID, could be a dummy email ID, right? I'll take it as temp@gmail.com, right? So it's a kind of a dummy email ID. So now we have to set the name. So I'll set the name as temp, and we have to set the password. Password will be 12345, and then we have to set the role of the user. So I'm first of all I'm registering a user with a user role only, so I'll use user, right? So now my user register DTO, all the fields are filled. Now what we have to do is we have to use, so you can see here that we are using default user service, right? So what we'll do is we'll be taking default user service only in our in a test class. So we'll be auto wired default user service, right? Right, user default default user service, right? So we'll make a object user service, right? Now we'll be using this user service object to actually save our right save our user register DTO, which will be saving our user object into a database, right? So in the user service.save method, we have written the logic of saving users all details into the database, right? So we'll be using user service.save. Now, as this is a test class, so we have to check that okay, is the object saved or not. So how we'll do is we'll check that okay, the object is being saved or not. So how we'll do it, we'll say assert. So we have to use a wrong library. I need to use, I think so, wrong library. Assert, okay, assert dot not null, right? So I'll be using not null, right? So what I have to do here is we have to fetch from user registration repository that okay, this object with this particular email ID is there in your database or not. So first of all, let me auto wire our user register user repository, right? So I'll use user repo. Now what I have to check here is that okay, using user repo, I have to find this find by email, right? I have to use this and then I have to pass email ID as above, right? The email ID that we are using this to save, right? So if we'll find the object with this email ID, then our test is passed. So we can give a message that okay, user found in DB, right? You can give any message, right, to confirm. So this is how we can register and check that okay, the object has been registered or not. Now as I said that the as method name also suggests that we have to register and log in. So now we have to log in also with that user, and the user that has been registered as a user. So now what we have to do is we have to go to the login controller and check that what functionality we are using to log in into the, right, we are just using user service dot load username, right? And we are passing the username, and by default the passwords and everything is being checked by this method only. So what we'll do is we'll take we'll say user service, we have made an object for it, load user by username, right? So now what is the username? Username is our email ID again. So I'll pass the email ID. So now if I get this object that okay, the user has been logged in, so it will return me a object of user details. That's a Spring class, right? So user details object is being returned by this method. If this object is not null, then again I can say that okay, I have logged in successfully. So I'll use again this assert dot not null, and I'll say assert dot not null, and I'll use this user object, right? If this user is not null, then I have login successfully, right? So if I now let me take you explain you line by line. First of all, we have made a user register DTO object. We have set all the fields for this object, and then we have saved using user service method, right? And then to check that okay, our functionality is working and our test class works fine, so we have used assert. So assert will check that okay, if this user is present in the database, then only this test is successful, right? if this user repo dot find by id doesn't return the null, then only this test case will pass, otherwise it will fail. And again, now to check the login part, we have used user service dot load user by username using this particular email id, and then check that okay, this object is not null, then only this test case will pass. So now let me save this and let me run this. So what do you have to, how to run the test cases? Go on run as and click on JUnit test. So it will compile, it will build the project, and then it will run your JUnit test also. So you will see here that okay, the test case is successful or not. So it has started to load. So we have to wait for a minute that okay, the server has started, and then only it will execute the test. When it goes on the DB layer, then it will execute the test. So yes, now it will execute the test. So yes, so it has executed the test. You have seen that okay. So you can see that this test is successful, right? It is green from this side, right? There is no failure trace or anything. So the test case name was register and login with user account. So this particular test case is successful for our test class, right? So this was our first test case to register and login with a user having a role as user, right? So now I have covered few more test cases like registering and login through a user having admin role, right? And then I have written a test case for saving the bus data using an admin user, right? I'll explain you everything step by step. So I'm telling you that I have covered few of the test cases. I'll tell you that how actually the motive of the video is to tell you that how to write JUnit test cases for a workflow driven project, right? Where UI is involved, your controllers are involved. So how to write a test case, right? JUnit test case. So there could be many other test cases that I haven't covered right now. So you can also comment down so that you can extend the JUnit class. You can write your own test cases to test, and also you can comment down that what all use cases, what all scenarios you could have discovered from this project, so that it could help others also who are looking to the project for writing the JUnit test cases, right? So now what all I have covered is that I have covered a registering and login through a user using a user role, and then register and login through a user using an admin role. So now let me test with an admin role, right? So now what I have taken is I have set same thing, that I have taken a user registered ETO, then I've set the name, email ID, password, role, and then I've saved, and then I've found the user with this particular email ID, and then I've got the user details using load user by username, and then I'm checking that. So this is how we are logging into the system. So if you are running one test case, you should comment the others, right? Because I'm explaining you step by step, so that's why I'm commenting it. You can run the whole class as well, no problems in that. So let me run this particular test case now for you. Let me save the class first and let me run this test case. So now we are registering and logging through a user having an admin role, right? You can see that the role set here is an admin role. So this is the second test case that I am covering in my JUnit testing. So there could be many other scenarios that you can find out. There could be many points where you want to test through a dummy data through testing class. So that could depend on your scenarios also, right? So now this will run our test case now. So let's wait. JUnit run our test case. Okay, so it is the test case is run and it is green. You can see that it is green, right? And what was the test case name? Test case name was register and login admin account, right? Register and login admin account, right? So this was our second test case that I have covered. So now let me cover another test case. Format it first. Okay, so now let's go on to another test case. Now what this test case says is that we have to save the bus data. Now you know that admin screen, a particular admin user screen has been provided to upload the bus data, right? That would be visible to a user having a role user, right? And so that he can book, filter the bus data and then book a bus from that screen. So how the admin could upload it, right? So if you want to test that particular point also, that how the data could be uploaded from an admin role, so this could be the particular test case. So what we are doing is we are again taking user registration, and we are registering a user having admin role, then we are logging through a user having admin role, and then we are preparing a bus data object, right? So if you'll go to the dashboard controller, sorry, not admin controller, not dashboard controller, you'll see here that what we are doing is we are simply saving our bus data, right? Bus data contains all the things, right? Our bus name, time, to, from, everything, price of the bus, everything, right? uh, Here we are getting the bus data from UI, right? HTML was involved. We are getting everything from UI. But now we have to test this endpoint using dummy data, not testing through our UI. So we can create a new object for bus data, and then we can set these details, right? Bus data. Then we can set the set to, from, filter date, time, price, and then we can actually, while saving, it returns the object, right? Bus data object has been returned when we save, right? So you can see that in the save method, let me click on here. What is the return type? So the return type of the method is just a minute. So you can see here that the return type of the method is the saved entity, will never be null, right? The entity which is being saved has been returned here, so we are checking that okay, the entity which is being returned is not null. If it is not null, then our test case is passed. Now let me run this scenario as well. You can change the date here, anything you can write, right? So I am taking some dummy data, so let me run this test case to tell you that how this scenario works of uploading the data by admin user, bus data upload by admin user. So it's a very quick kind of a video. uh, I am covering a very limited set of test cases, right? I'm actually giving you insights of that how to write a JUnit test case. So any other scenario that you can think of, you can comment down, and also you can write it in your test classes as per your requirements. So now our test case would run. So let's wait for the JUnit to run. Let me open this. Okay, it has started to run. Okay, it is successful now. The test case has run, and what was the name of the test case? Saved bus data by admin account, right? And it is successful. It is green. So the test case, this is green. So now let me comment this test case as well, and let me go to the last test case that I have written. So this was the last scenario covered by me. So let me do it like this. Okay. So now what is this is that this is actually a dashboard screen for a user, right? So what happens is that when a user logins into the dashboard, there is a visibility of selecting to, from, and the date on a particular date for which the person needs to book the bus ticket, right? So the filters are provided to the user. So there is a particular query that has been running to filter those data and display it to the user, right? So we are doing that same only, right? We are taking I'll say ND, and what details I have saved here, right? I have taken ND and I have taken AMT, right? So I'll say AMT, right? So now I'll check that okay, for these data, the data is available in the database, as I have already inserted that data in the above call, and if that data is present, then our test case would pass. So first of all, let me take you to the dashboard controller and show you how the call is going. So to see that how the call is going, we are using bus data repository, and we are finding by, to, from, and date, right? And we are passing this reservation DTO details right here. So same we are doing here as well in our test case class. We are preparing a reservation DTO, and then we are passing to, from, and filter date here in the find by to, from, and date using bus data repository. So let me run this test case as well. So this this will tell us that okay, the data is present in the database, as we have just saved the data into the database using to, from, and time and everything, right? So you can even club these two scenarios together as well, for uploading the data and for fetching the data, right? So that could be done in one test case as well. So now the JUnit should run. And yes, it has started to run and it is successful, right? It is green, right? And what was the test case name? Test case name was fetch bus data, right? So there could be many other scenarios that you can cover. Maybe like you can check that okay, you are able to book your bus using a user, having a role as user, right? Then there could be a scenario of checking that okay, uh, finding the bus reservation for a particular user, right? The history page data, that all the bookings are shown to the user or not, right? So there could be multiple scenarios that you can cover, right? So this was it from this video. I've covered subsequent amount of test cases. Some other test cases you think that that should be covered, should be you should comment on the video, and also you should update your test classes, right? So this was it from this video, and hoping that you people might have liked the video, and please share among your contacts so that the channel reach could grow. And also if you are new to the channel, do hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon. And the you can follow me on uh, Instagram and LinkedIn. The links would be in the description. And if you have any queries, you can directly mail me or even comment down in the videos, right? So I'll see you in the next video. Till then, happy learning.